Okay, so we've got our agarose that we weighed out and put into a 250 milliliter flask. We've got our TAE buffer that we've measured out, and I'm just going to combine those. Just wanted to show you this is powdery to start with. And as we mix them, we just get kind of a slurry here. So the point of this is we're going to melt this in the microwave under high heat. I'm going to put a Kim wipe in the top here just to keep it in case it bubbles up. Keep it from over bubbling. And we're going to use the oldest microwave in existence. I don't know, a very old microwave to make this work for us. So I'm going to heat it and keep an eye on this. So it's a little bit hard to watch through there, but you can keep an eye on and just verify that it's not bubbling over. So we'll get some hot hands here to handle it with. Stir it as we need to, and we want to keep doing it kind of a couple passes of boiling, swirling, and boiling again until the last time when it's boiling. We shouldn't really see any particles of agarose in there. The bubbles should burst very quickly, and that'll be a sign that things have dissolved. The agarose is dissolved into solution enough by that point. Okay, we got a little bit of bubbling going on. Open this and swirl a bit. So you can see it's kind of fizzy. Those are very small bubbles. We want to keep this going until we get big bubbles. One benefit of our old microwave is the power is kind of low. So when you boil things at lower power, they get less bubbly. It takes a little longer to get them up to vigorous bubbling. The video actually shows the bubbles better than I can see them with my own eye. All right, so bubbles a little bit smaller. I'm not sure I have 100% faith here yet, so I'm going to do one more. Go for broke. And I think the next time it's bubbling, next time it boils, we should be good to go. Okay, so all told, that was, I don't know, a minute. Wasn't a whole lot of time. You see the bubbles pop pretty easily if I get them. So it's pretty hot. It's going to be boiling to the touch. I can't touch that for even a second with gloves on. And don't really see, sometimes you can see agarose particles in there still. I don't see any particles. That's a good sign. So we're going to take advantage of that. And one thing you can do is you can cool it a little bit more quickly. So this is lab grade glass, and as nervous as this makes me, I've never broken a flask doing this. So I'm just going to run some tap water over this for a little while. And you gotta have to be aware that just like when you microwave food, right? The outside's going to be a different temperature than the inside. So I have to give it a little bit of time for the coolness that's still on the outside to equilibrate with the hotness that stays on the inside to really tell me how hot this is. Still pretty hot, but I'm going to go with it. I think the latex lab gloves are pretty good at shielding you from that kind of initial feeling of burn, but of course don't touch this unless you feel comfortable exploring that temperature there. So we're going to combine this with some Gel Star stain and pour it into our rig. I'm going to get the Gel Star and meet you at the rig. So we've got our Gel Star in the liquid. I didn't feel safe putting that in here while I had the video going because I'm probably going to end up touching my phone. But I did have my gloves on, and I used the gloves to put the Gel Star in here and change my gloves out afterwards just in case. The Gel Star is the big reason that we wear gloves. There's the biohazard of getting somebody else's DNA next to you. There's also this one, which is a safety hazard of a potential mutagen. So that Gel Star that we added is going to bind to DNA and allow it to be visible when we shine a blue or UV wavelength of light on there. So we got to put the molten agarose with Gel Star into the gel rig. This is a kind where you can pour and run the gel in the same place. So it has this orange gasket on here, and it fits very snugly crossways. That's what we're going to do first. And then once this sets up, we'll be able to run it by pointing it in the other direction. So it's a little bit of a shove. You want to make sure that your gasket doesn't come out of the channel that it's in. And then there are a couple of depressions in here. These are meant to hold combs. So this is an example of the comb. It's just a precise rectangle shape, and that's going to go downwards and set up basically a place where the agarose won't go, and as we take the comb out, that's going to leave a depression there that we can put liquid into. So one last swirl, and pour that in there. Great. So didn't cool it down too much, went in there nicely. Can't really see any bubbles. If there were bubbles, you can get a pipetter tip. So these are sterile, and if you needed to, you could pop your bubbles this way or kind of escort them off to the side where they're not in the way. They're more of a visual problem, so you can't see your bands as well if you do it this way, and you get bubbles in there. So just getting rid of the bubbles is kind of good practice. Now that we've cooled this down ahead of time, it shouldn't take too long, although it can seem long sometimes. So 10 to 20 minutes. To cool this, it's going to go from clear like it is now, and it's going to be opaque, kind of bluish color when this is all done. So we'll come back to you when this is set up. So you can see we've become kind of opaque blue here. Can still see through it, it's translucent, but if I move this around, nothing shakes. Certainly don't want to try this while you're setting. You can mess up the set if you do this while it's still setting.